Hey, Tim.
Hey, Jeff.
Good morning.
This is the wrong show. We don't start this show like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This we have some banter. Like, hey, Jeff, why do we have a blanket on top of the comic book rack there?
I think it's a special order. I think it's a. I don't think it's a blanket because someone spotted it from across the room and they were like, "I want that." It's the Demon Slayer thing from the Demon Slayer manga. It's like an outfit.
Oh, I thought it was a Demon Slayer blanket.
No, it's a special order that someone ordered.
I'm pretty confident that's a Demon Slayer blanket up there. But if you're the person who ordered that Demon Slayer blanket,
as someone who neither processed the order or has watched the show Demon Slayer, yeah, it's a blanket.
Well, I pulled it out and looked at it the other day and thought, why do we have a blanket up here?
Raptor Radio. Welcome to Geek Paradise.
This is Rad Raptor Radio. My name is Jeff.
I'm Tim.
I don't know what episode number it is because I don't have...
Episode 181, Jeff.
Are you gonna...
Jeff, it's episode 186. It's definitely one of the two.
Normally I have like the stuff up, but it's been a week, guys. We're not getting a live video up at all this week.
Well, I was busy yesterday. I couldn't be here at all, so we're a day late, and I'm still without a car. You've heard all the engine aid. It's coming. It takes a long time to go through a collection of hundreds of thousands of comics that I've just stuffed in boxes
186,
and hid.
By the way.
I knew it was 181 or 186, yeah. So I've been going through that, trying to find a few things I could sell, but I'm still without a car, so I had to drive my son's car in this morning. We have a monsoon, and he doesn't have, things like windshield wipers.
Well, when you're a teenage driver, that's...
Yeah, who needs windshield wipers, right?
Fine, yeah.
And so the other day I got in there, I was like, Connor, I'm just letting you know here, man. Like, I went to take the check engine light's on. It's making a weird sound. I was like, there's no windshield wipers. Half of your car is still covered in vanilla shake. We've got some issues going on here. You may want to look into that when you get the car back. So, and I say my son's car because I'm that dad who I never thought I would be. I had a car, and I was like, here, son, you just take my car. So now since I said, here, son, take my car, and he goes, could I just buy it from you? And I said, yes, and he's still not giving me money. I was like, I'm taking that car back for a few weeks.
That's just mine now.
Yeah, I need it. My car has no engine.
This is Rad Raptor Radio, the show in which Tim and I gather each week to talk about pop culture-y things and the like in our lives in the first half. And then in the back half, we talk about our favorite comic books that came out that week. And there are some people that... It's so funny. I'd say the majority of people that I talk to listen to all of it or watch all of it when we have the video feed. But I talk to probably an equal spread of people of like...
Listen to the first half or the second half?
Or the second half. It's just really kind of funny.
I've often said we could probably do two separate podcasts, one that just does one and one that just does the other. But it's cool putting them together, too. It's kind of what we've done since the beginning, so... I mean, it would be strange. Like, I would almost say at this point you leave them in the same feed, but we do, like, Rad Raptor Radio Tim and Jeff and Rad Raptor Radio Comics. But that's a thought for another day.
Yeah, that's down the line. I have been reading a ton of comic books this week, but that's mostly because I fell down the rabbit hole of researching Kang because I grew up as a DC kid and not a Marvel kid, and I was like, okay, I want to learn more about this character.
That makes so much more sense. I got the text from you the other day, and you were like, yeah, I've just been reading old Avengers all day. And I was like, why is he reading like, some old Avengers is cool. Yeah. I can only take so much Avengers comics usually. And then the fact that your thought was I'm going to just read like tons of old Avengers. But yeah, no, the King stuff was interesting, and I don't know how much we want to get into with it, but... Well,
I wasn't going to say why I was getting into King stuff. That we can get into that later on different shows. Yeah, I basically requested a reading list from a friend of the show, William, because I knew he would like have it. I was like, okay, just give me a list, buddy, of what I should go back to read. And it's fun, like... I somewhat enjoy reading those like 1970s era Marvel stuff, but it's definitely the 1960s stuff, the 1970s stuff, it definitely has those moments where sometimes you're reading something and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Because it cracked me up at one point where like the whole plot like revolved around one guy, one police officer somehow knowing everything that was going on, and like Hawkeye being like, what's going on? And this random police officer would be like, the entire Avengers have been kidnapped.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, why would that cop know that? Any of this
Cops
information?
know everything, man.
But man, I did not realize our wonderful time-traveling supervillain Kang, just how kind of rapey of a superhero he kind of is. That whole plot for that like big setup of like, yeah, this is a really good King story, and Rob Liefeld's also out there being like, this is like the best King story, and then you go and you read it, and it's like he finds out that like one lady has like this very, very important child, and he's narrowed it down to like 3 people: Agatha Harkness, Mantis, or Scarlet Witch. And so he's like, I know one of these 3 people has like this very special important child in the future, so I'm going to go back in time and make sure I'm the dad. There's not a lot of consent in that concept. And so the whole plot hinges on him like kidnapping those 3. And which is also just an odd 3 people to capture. But then I wasn't prepared for the like sheer Grey's Anatomy level romantic drama that was going on.
Yeah.
As it was just kind of incredible because he's basically come back in time to sleep with one of them while the Avengers he also kidnaps the rest of the Avengers and takes them out, which means he doesn't kidnap the Swordsman because he's just like, yo man, you're pathetic. The Swordsman has just been dumped by Mantis, and so he's like trying to prove himself. So he's going in, and Mantis is just completely hung up on Vision, who's actually with Scarlet Witch there. So it's like this all these love triangles and everything going on. I did almost send you one of my favorite panels I've ever seen in any comic book ever, though, because the Swordsman has to get his own like Avengers team. What he's got is he goes off and he finds Hawkeye, because Hawkeye had like quit the Avengers, so he wasn't there when they all got like kidnapped and taken out. And then he finds this like mysterious stranger who is also Kang, because like there's multiple Kangs like running around, who's like here to try to stop himself, but he's like the like Pharaoh version of Kang, so he's like in like all the Pharaoh dress, but then he wants to disguise himself so he doesn't recognize himself. So he does the Ben Grimm style, or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles style. I'm gonna disguise it, where he's wearing that like trench coat and the hat over top of the Pharaoh stuff, which is just kind of amazing. And so that's your Avengers team, is the Swordsman, Hawkeye, and Kang as a Pharaoh, as a 1920s like disguised person. And with the Swordsman gives a whole ass Avengers Assemble. It is one of the funniest panels I've ever seen, where he's just like, Avengers Assemble! It's because there's a lot of moments in those comic books that are like unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
But that was just, it was amazing.
I was going for it. Well, this is, of course, neither pop culture nor current comic books, but pop culture, Jeff. We did finish Loki on Wednesday, and let's keep it spoiler-free for everybody. But so your thoughts on current pop culture? I guess, actually, I don't think we mentioned this on the show either. So let's go Loki, and then we'll give a real quick what your thoughts on Black Widow might be, because these are available on Patreon.com if you want our full thoughts. But if for briefly, Jeff, the Loki finished. What were your thoughts on the series? As a whole, necessarily, again, without spoiling anybody who hasn't had a chance to watch the show yet.
Yeah, of the 3, it's my least favorite of the 3, with some of the coolest stuff in it, if that makes any kind of weird sense. I liked it better than I thought I would, and I suspect I don't like it as much as you do, but yeah, I really liked it. It's just it's for me, it's like the other two shows were like A+ territory. This feels like a solid B+ somewhere in there for me.
Wow, B+ even.
Yeah.
I would say the other show, this is probably, finishing it out, my third favorite of the three, although I really, really liked it. Although I am going to be like, we're talking like 9.8, 9.75, and maybe a 9.68.
You're on a 10-point scale.
On a 10-point scale. Like they're all so close together.
Well, and they said that, like, this was going to be the most important of
I
them.
definitely see it.
And I see that if what you care about is moving the larger Marvel story, the behemoth Marvel MCU story along, this is the biggest deal of those, and I did come out of it with, like, probably the most excitement about stuff, and I still enjoyed it myself with it. It's just I don't think it was as bad as Andrew had a very bad reaction to it. To him, it was essentially that, like, moment of where you get the secret decoder ring and it's like, be sure to drink your Ovaltine, because and that's the critique of it, is it just existed to push those bigger things along as opposed to, but I think there's
I would disagree. I think it pushed the character of Loki along a lot, and it looks like he's far from done, despite us having killed him in every movie.
I'm excited to get into, like, the more nitty-gritty with that on our final Loki podcast, the Loki show, like the Tiki Room. The show so nice they named it twice, in which Tim and I will give all of our thoughts and feelings on the thing.
Yeah, we'll do it in a very low-key manner on the only America's #1 late-night show-themed Loki podcast.
Yes. I will definitely, one of those kind of very amusing things of had not one, not two, but 3 different people text me on Wednesday, whoa, that definitely wasn't a low-key episode of Loki. So you started something.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone went to that joke with me.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. That was such a non-low-key episode of Loki. I kind of thought the same thing when we were finished. I was like, we definitely left low-key in that one.
But yeah, that's our brief thoughts on the Loki show. If you want to hear more, those podcasts are all up on patreon.com/radraptor.
Except episode 6, which we got to record still.
As well as our thoughts on Black Widow, which we did a full after the credits episode, which we both really enjoyed, and you can hear us kind of gush all over that thing.
Yeah, that was pretty great. That was also very high on my scale. I'm looking forward to maybe seeing it again and seeing it with some time passing, to make sure it wasn't all just like, hey, this is our first Marvel movie since, was it Spider-Man 100 years ago that we had?
I think so, yeah. 18,000 years ago.
Oddly enough, we get another Spider-Man movie this year, like Spider-Man Fast and Furious. But
yeah, Spider-Man Fast and Furious.
Spider-Man Fast and Furious, it's going to be big. They're going to give that spider car. Remember we had the first appearance of the spider car in here for a while?
Yeah. I did watch the first Fast and Furious films for Tim and I's podcast. I'm not sure Tim's watched it yet.
I haven't. I've been watching a lot of Battlestar Galactica.
I think what happened is Tim's had all these car problems, and then we were like, hey, let's launch
a car movie.
Let's launch this podcast about car movies, and he's like, I can't do it. I don't have an engine. It's too triggering.
Yeah, my biggest problem with those movies is I just don't like them, which is why I stopped. It was one of those things, like, I watched them for pop culture's sake for the first 3, and then I was just like, yeah, I can't do this anymore.
Well, supposedly, like, supposedly 5's when they get, like, really, really good. That's when people, like, love them.
Yeah, but 3 was really, really bad.
I've never seen any past the first one, and I just rewatched the first one for the first time in, like, 20 years. I'll hold my thoughts off for the podcast.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But you know what we're not doing the podcast on, and maybe we should be, is my rewatch through Battlestar Galactica. Jeff, that show is holding up. When is the last time you have sat down and watched Battlestar Galactica?
You're saying
not the 70s show, the old new one. Was it
with Lady Starbuck,
late 90s,
Katie
early
Sackhoff
2000s, right in there?
I rewatched through it. I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago. The ends of each season hold up extremely well. What doesn't hold up extremely well is the middles.
Well, the very middle gets a bit long just because of the different way we do TV now.
Yes.
But they kept it down. Outside of season, 2, and maybe season 4 goes a little long in the tooth as well. Season 1 is 13 episodes, and I want to say season 3 is only because there was a writer's strike in there. Mm-hmm. So that one's only 12 episodes, and that feels a little more like what we expect from television now because we're kind of more in and out, whereas I will say, the 20 episodes of season 2, and you're like, and we're on another planet, and we're jumping away from the Cylons, and we're on another planet, and we're jumping away from the Cylons.
I will say the height of a golden age of television where we're in an embarrassment of riches where why haven't you watched these 10 incredible shows that I keep asking you to watch? It's because I've been watching these 10 incredible shows I've been asking you to watch. The highs of that Battlestar Galactica show fit right in with everything coming out now. It is so good. And the different conflicts and everything else they set up. What's that guy's name who plays the captain there?
Adama?
Yeah, who plays Adama.
The
guy from Blade
name.
Runner.
Yeah,
he is just... is it James Olmos? Something like that? He is brilliant in that show, and Katie Sackhoff is great. Bakalar is one of my favorite characters in anything ever. If you're out there listening and you really like Loki, and you're the person that was go watch Battlestar Galactica, because there's a lot of Bakalar energy being echoed in the Loki stuff, and he's definitely one of those characters you hate to love to hate, can't ever really quite figure out which side he's exactly on. But Battlestar Galactica is real good. Are you almost done with it?
I am about halfway.
I don't know that show sticks the landing particularly well, but
I would agree. It's sad because I know how it ends, and I'm oh yeah, I do have to get to that. I'm trying to watch it this time because there were 3 made for TV movies that came out over the course of the show that all land at different spots in the show. And then you can watch, there were 3 different web series with these 7-minute episodes, because back then it was around the same time The Office was doing the web series and stuff. Everybody wanted to do the short web series because it was kind of new and cutting edge. And people were like, what if TV moves towards the internet? So I'm trying to watch it with all of that in there too. And so it's a much more lengthy watch through in that way.
Have you, since that show has existed, have you tried to go back and watch the OG Battlestar Galactica?
I tried to do it a couple times post-watch, so this is the first time I've done a complete watch-through since I watched it when it was first out for Battlestar. After Battlestar ended, I tried to go back a couple times and watch the OG, and I never made it more than a couple episodes. I was like, I just can't do this.
It was one of my favorite shows when I was 9 or 10, and so I was kind of among the people that it was not even in a aggressively I won't watch it kind of way, but I made Starbuck a girl, and where's this character and what's I was, because I kind of wanted that thing that I grew up with, and then I ended up falling in love with the new show, and then I go back and try to watch that original show what did I like about this? But it was
I watched it and I got 3 or 4 episodes in. I was like, how did they ever watch this and think we need to reboot it? What value was found in this show to want to reboot?
I remember being ecstatic one time when we were on a field trip to COSI, which is now the Imagination Station, but back in the day it was called COSI, one of those children's museums, and they sold playing cards in their little space section of the gift shop that were hectagonal, and I was they're just like the Battlestar Galactica show. and everyone was looking at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, it's on Sci-Fi, like every day at like 9 a.m. and it was a show from the 70s, and I set the VCR to record it, and I was like, what are you talking about? Because I was a little geek as a child.
Nothing wrong with that.
You want to come back and talk some comic books, Timothy?
I think it's about time, Jeff, that we come back and talk some comics. So we have to come back because I got to actually pull the comics from my bag.
Okay.
So after these messages, we'll be right back.
In a world where you listen to Rad Raptor Radio, have you ever wondered how you could support them? You could make Rad Raptor Comics your local comic shop. They fill pull lists for people all over the country, and all orders over $20 have free shipping within the continental U.S. You could also check out one of their live or by-post comic auctions or sales. You can find them on Facebook or at radraptor.com. If comics aren't your thing, or even if they are, you can support Rad Raptor Radio by going to patreon.com/radraptor, where for as little as $5 a month, you can get significantly more content, including the Mandalorian cast, the Uncanny Raptor, and even a Star Wars Holiday Special commentary track. Patrons also have access to patron-only auctions. All the books you love, half the competition. Finally, if funds are low, and let's face it, even Bruce Wayne is broke sometimes, you can still support Rad Raptor Radio by telling a friend about it. Or if you haven't yet, give them a 5-star review on iTunes so even more people can hear about the show. In a world where you listen to Rad Raptor Radio, you are thanked for listening. And now, back to the show.
And we're back.
We are back here with the comic book portion of the program where we give you our picks of the week from the things that came out this here week. The week of July 14th was New Comic Book Day this week.
14th is today's the 16th.
So
15th was Thursday.
Yeah.
Wednesday was the
13th if you're a DC fan, 14th if you're looking for the other stuff.
And this is the calendar with Tim and Jeff. By the way, I would like to point out I pulled down the blanket that was on top of the comic book shelf.
It was in fact a blanket.
It was in fact a blanket. That makes the 50th time today that I am 100% correct.
I would like to say in my very small defense, I'm very small. I'm a short man.
You can't reach up and get it. That is the perfect defense. It's funny because I started putting things up there originally just so you couldn't get up there.
Now there's like so much stuff up there.
Every day I'm like, I really have to organize because Andrew started to put stuff up there too because I told him, he asked me why I did it, and I told him it's so Jeff can't move it. And so now he puts stuff up there. And
it's
I've
getting unwieldy up there.
It's getting a bit insane.
And I can't. The best part is that like the Comic Hub manual is up there, which is funny because it was like I don't know who put it up there. Maybe it was me at some point because that was when we switched over to Comic Hub. Person who is no longer here. Printed off that entire
manual,
the entire thing, laminated. Laminated each page. Had an expectation that I was going to sit here and read that entire thing, in which I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that."
He eventually got tired of Jeff and is no longer here.
Is accurate, but that manual sits up there. There's a shipping box for some reason. A whole bunch of like the shelf dividers.
Yeah.
And a blanket.
The blanket. There's some books that didn't sell in an auction. There's some books I didn't want you to move.
Well, there's some
posters that I haven't put in the poster box yet.
Someone who usually comes more frequently has been on vacation, and they have like their pole has
moved up
on both in the top section and the section on top. So it's a little unwieldy. Yeah. And sometimes you put stuff up there that you're like, hey, I sold this poster. And then it's up there, and then I have to try to get it down. I try
to never put anything up there if I've sold it. That's always my goal. Again, it is the Jeff sits things in weird spots spot to try to keep you from doing that. So,
So what was your favorite comic book that came out this week, Timothy?
Yeah, every week we read a bunch of books. This was a weird week in comics. I was kind of commenting on it last night. I had finally sat down to read some non-DC books, and there's probably there wasn't probably a lot that I adored this week. A lot of weeks I've got 3, 4, 5 books I think are just top of the line.
Oh, I have like 3, 4, 5 books that I think are top of the line.
This week I finished, I was like, I don't even know what to make the pick of the week exactly.
This week I finished and went like, I don't know what to make the pick of the week exactly.
So I went back and forth on a few. I finished with Beyond the Breach, excuse me, new number 1 by Aftershock Comics.
That was a great book.
Ed Bryson wrote this one. Yeah, one, it was a good and interesting start. My thought was that ultimately I felt it gave us a really interesting story. I don't know if the execution really landed, and we'll probably have to wait for another issue or 2 to decide on the execution. But yeah, we've got a woman. She has left her cheating boyfriend, spouse. I don't remember if it was a spouse or a boyfriend. She's driving through California where they've got the big redwoods. Stops paying attention for just a second, looks up, and there's a monster plant on the road eating this guy. She pulls over to help the guy. The plant attacks her, and then you realize just like all chaos is breaking out around the car.
It has like the Mist type energy where it's like all of a sudden the world's gone to hell. These monsters are here, and you're just like you're with a character where you're seeing the transition from normalcy to, oh crap, what the heck is going on?
Yep. And there's little Ewok creatures, which I found were interesting.
They kind of look like Station from Bill and Ted. They're like fight. Took me a second to figure out what's going on because they're kind of good guys. They're like they're here fighting off the monsters. They don't speak English, so it's kind of
one falls in the toilet.
Yeah, it's you're kind of just thrown into this world and with this girl trying to figure it out.
That's kind of where you're at. She saves a boy who his dad was the one getting eaten by the plant, and so she saves him. They escape to a bathroom together to hide out. But yeah, essentially we've got like a weird fantasy world that has breached into our world beyond the Breach. And so the two worlds have kind of collided in this one spot. Where's it going? What's going to happen? I don't know, but I would say of everything I read, this was the thing that interested me the most. So it was the pick of the week. Aftershock Comics working hard. I tend to really like a couple different indie books. AWA has been really big, and Aftershock's probably right behind them in books that I like.
I'm going to go with Joker number 5.
Good call.
Yes, very good call, and I would like to officially submit this in nomination for single issue of the year. Andrew is seconding it. On what was for me, I thought a very good week for comics. This is one of the best comics I've ever read. You can read this having not read this entire Joker series. You could just do this. This goes, like we've said, if you've been listening, this Joker series is a
Jim Gordon series?
It's more a Jim Gordon series, but it's a Jim Gordon facing off with the Joker series. This one is a flashback story that's it's telling the story from Jim Gordon's perspective of the first time that like they threw Joker into Arkham Asylum, and it is incredible, and as a like just showing I love when they go back and do like not yet Commissioner Gordon stuff, but the way they weave in the choices he makes, the stuff going on with like the marriage and everything else is just incredible. And then it's just the art style has like this very like, okay, we're going back and telling an older story art style, and it's very reminiscent of the Frank Miller Year One stuff, so it like feels like it would fit right in with that stuff, lockstep. And yeah, I was blown away, especially as a long-term Batman fan. I was blown away as someone who's like has had a marriage not work out. I was kind of blown away of just like seeing this guy's plight of like trying to, fix this unfixable problem with the Joker. It was a really good book.
cool. I haven't got that one yet. I honestly had hit that, and then I started it, and I thought, I don't remember if I read issue 3 or not. Did I read issue 3? It was another kind of crazy week for me. About a month ago, issue 3 came out, and so I thought, I need to go find issue 3 and make sure I read it before I read issue 4.
You can read this on your own.
Yeah, you can read this. I mean, you can read this if you haven't even read any of the Joker books.
Yeah.
And this is one I would hand someone to just be like, oh, if you've ever been a Batman fan, you should read this book. So it's number 5 of this Joker series. They continue to put the like punchline addendum stuff in the back.
Yeah.
I continue to not care.
Wonder Woman number 775. This book continues the main book to be some of my favorite Wonder Woman written in generations, probably. Wonder Woman has been trying to deal with the fact that all of the Greek gods were murdered. She travels to a version, I guess, not necessarily the Greek version of Hades, but a version of Hades where the gods are being kept after they were killed. She's got to go into a game of riddles against Death himself in order to free them. Kind of Bill and Ted-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Bill and Ted-ish or Hobbit-ish, both. But yeah, so she's got to free the Greek gods. And we have another kind of major costume switch. She's been this whole time dressed in her very Asgardian stuff, and she switches gears when she enters the Hades place into this very Greek-looking ensemble. In the end, we finish up with that. She rescues the gods. Everything is kind of fitted good in this arc. But she realizes there's something else she has to do, and so she heads off down a mysterious well, which is leading us into the next arc. This book has been fantastic, and for cosplayers, we now have a second complete Wonder Woman outfit. Who knows how many they're going to go for through the run of this writer in this Infinite Frontier. But with an Infinite Frontier possibility, she's not hanging out doing the normal Wonder Woman stuff. She is traveling from one, I guess, immortal realm to the next and dealing with problems, putting wrongs right, and all of that good stuff.
It's crazy. Comic books are weird. We have trouble selling Wonder Woman books just when, like, hey, this Wonder Woman's book's good, and we can't move it. Whenever Spider-Man puts a new costume on, everyone comes in and buys 5 copies.
It is.
Comic books are crazy.
Yeah, she's got her say. She's got a different lasso now. She's got a lasso that she was given in Asgard because Yara Flores is going to end up with her lasso here on Earth. I believe Nubia has it right now, but yeah, this one, instead of being yellow, is kind of purple. Anyway, very good book, and it shouldn't be that way. Wonder Woman 775, buy it, read it, enjoy it, love it like I do. She's even got a new helmet.
Another book that very easily could have been Pick of the Week territory, Spider-Man, Spider Shadow, number 4, by one Chip Zdarsky. I'm going to put it out there that let Chip Zdarsky write more Spider-Man. What do they call that Decades one thing he did?
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it, but yeah.
I wanted to say Day to Life.
I want to say Through the Years of, but it's not that either.
Because they're doing one with Fantastic Four right now, but Mark Russell's writing it. What is that thing called? I can't think of it. He did that.
Life Story?
No. Might be Life Story.
Might be Life
Something
Story.
like that. But he did that, and he's doing this kind of extended What If book, which is basically what would happen if Spider-Man didn't initially give up the Venom suit, and rather than put it in one issue, they're doing a whole mini-series. And I've liked this series quite a bit. The guy can write, man.
He can.
And it's incredible. At this point, it very easily could turn into that thing of I was a little bummed by the end of the last issue, they do separate him from the suit. And so we've kind of delved into very samey territory of just okay, well, then we have Spider-Man basically fighting symbiote stuff again. Like, that's where I really liked how dark they let this.
You could have only taken that so long, though,
Yeah.
before he just killed everybody.
But you now have this wonderful aftermath of Spider-Man went that dark. Spider-Man did kill people. At this point, J. Jonah Jameson is, like, weirdly kind of an ally, because he's seen everything and seen, like, why everything happened and went down. And you have, like, Peter going, like, no, man, you just need to get safe. And he's like, no, I need to go tell the people everything, that you're good. Like, that stuff hits really well. It's just really good. His moments with MJ in this, and that's kind of what I thought about Life's Story, too. As much as I have a redhead problem in life, MJ is never my favorite of the Spider-Man girlfriends, and I think she's often, like, the worst fit for him. And this stuff, however, is written incredibly well. Chip Zdarsky does a good job making their relationship feel, like, very real and very important. And especially in this stuff, where she's seen him go to, like, some really messed up places. And it's just a really good book. And then so they just go crazy with what the symbiote is attaching to and stuff in a bad guy kind of way. And oh boy, this kind of venomized rogue gallery we get by the end of this book. I won't spoil any of it, but it is dark, it is creepy, and it looks real cool. So this should be reading this book.
Yeah, it's another one that I started and I thought, I don't think I read issue 3 in the bad week there. I've got a big bag of books to read, so I'll probably catch up and
I'm starting to understand why we had such a different response to this.
I'm not sure even, like, I like both of those books. I don't know. The Joker one I've really, really liked. The Spider-Man one I've liked, but nowhere near as much as you, because I don't have it in me to care. Like, it's really well done. I don't really care about Venom, and I don't care about Spider-Man as much as the average comic goer. So I read Eve number 3, Boom Studios. This book continues to be really interesting and really good. Eve is kind of a post-apocalyptic child, Johnny Appleseed. She has been placed on Earth to, as far as we could tell, plant these things that are going to clean, these trees that are going to clean up the air, almost like a mangrove type forest that she needs to plant. She's getting to the spot where she is supposed to plant them, traveling cross country. She gets to this place. She's been chased by these zombies. She had lost her bear in the last one. So she gets to this group of, like, kid warriors who kill the zombies behind her. And she's like, oh, good, I can stay here. But they've been in communication with who they believe to be God, which is actually the scientist up at the space station, including her dad, who are like, no, she can't stay here. You've got to send her on her way. She's Earth's last hope. She heads off with a kid who's getting a little too old to stay there because as you hit adults, you change with this, like, virus that's in the air. And so, yeah, she travels to Chicago by trade. In this issue, a trade that has been set in an automation by the final administration that the country had known.
And you realize she's being followed by, like, an assassin. What is that?
Well, she's being. You think she's being followed by the assassin. She's being followed by her bears. The bear is going through and trying to get to her this whole time.
But she's also being followed by the assassin lady, though. Like that.
Yes. Well, the assassin lady meets her at the trade. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I love that.
The final panel took a weird twist that makes us all go, "What's going on here?"
I loved the first issue of this. I'm going to, like, hold further opinions till we see the complete thing. I have kind of liked this a little less each time, though. But we could get to the end and be like, oh, no, cool, I love this again. But
I very much enjoyed this issue. I thought this issue was pretty good.
I think part of it is, like, I really liked the vibe of the first one, which was, like, it was a very lonely, quiet world with just her and a bear traversing an apocalypse. Oh, it's like Cormac McCarthy the road, but with like a girl and a teddy bear. And that was kind of the vibe of the first one, like a very, not Cormac McCarthy, because it's more like future technology within the like world, but the world is bleak, and she was wandering it by herself, except for this like teddy bear robot thing, and we have not gotten that vibe since, which is like not the.
Once she gets off the island, we start to see more up close the problems the world has, and it's not just that everybody is dead; it's that the virus and everything else has changed the world drastically. Right. So,
but yeah, that's that could be my fault, not the books, where it's like I thought that's what it was doing, and then we just have not really gotten that, because we got all the flashbacks in the second one, like showing the dad. Or not flashbacks, but I guess they're like current, of just like panning over to show the
dad on the space station.
It's dad on the space station, and then in the this issue we got all the stuff with the kids, and that was the stuff with the kids. I was just like, no, just give me like I really wanted that just like weird dark tale of like a girl at her like post-apocalyptic pet.
I just don't know how you do a long, like more than an issue or two like that. I've read that comic. I mean, there's been a couple of comics that are that, but they're usually one-shots, whereas this is telling a much broader story, so I think you've got almost have to introduce other characters. But Eve number 3, it's really good. It's worth checking out.
Aliens Aftermath is really good. Especially if, like me, you are an alien/aliens, whatever you want to call the series head. This takes place immediately after the movie Aliens, one of the best movies ever made, and this glowy alien on the front it is there within. It's being written by Ben Percy, who has not taken a misstep since we've become aware of him, pretty much. It's a really good book. I mean, if this book is for you or if you're not. Like, you're either an Aliens person or you're not, or you're a Ben Percy person or you're not. I would say if you fall into either of those two categories, you're going to have a really, really good time with this. I don't want to spoil any of the particulars beyond that. When we talk about issue 2 or something, maybe I'll give the specifics, but Ben Percy is the perfect guy. I didn't think about it when Marvel was like, hey, we're going to start putting out alien comic books. But Ben Percy is the absolute perfect guy to write an alien comic book, because he hits... That's why he's the perfect guy to write Wolverine or X-Force. He hits that note of like good storytelling and also just like the brutal action and those like, oh my gosh moments.
Yeah, so he's a good writer. Looking at the other things I read this week, we've got Batman the Detective, number 4 of 6. This is Tom Taylor's kind of future Batman, where we get like the older, grizzled Batman. This book was really good. We see Batman arrested, and he's being questioned. And remember, there's a whole group of people in this book that are out there trying to kill all of the people who Batman has saved. And all of a sudden, this line of questioning starts to go farther and farther along the line to, did Batman save you, Bruce Wayne? And they've got these pictures that show Batman and Bruce Wayne that he had taken one time to, prove that he wasn't Batman. All that stuff. Finally, the police detectives, they lock him up, chain him to the table, and you start to realize that something's heavily amiss there. This book, though, has been excellent. If you're a Batman fan who's not in love with the current direction of the book always, I love just kind of the old grizzled Batman. You can see the scars on his knuckles from punching, and it's really good. Justice League Last Ride, number 3. This is another book that's really good. Chip Zdarsky writing Justice League. The guy can write a comic book. We've got a Justice League that had broken up. Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne no longer are friends. and they have to come together to protect Lobo. They decide to do so on Apocalypse because they feel that's where no one is going to look for them. We have a lot of stuff going on with that. It's pretty great as they use like Darkseid's torture chamber to lock him into and everything else. They're going to have to come together, though, and fight because everybody knows exactly where they're at. So we've got a whole universe of people who want to kill Lobo before he stands trial, and the Lanterns and the remnants of the Justice League trying to protect him. War of the Bounty Hunters #2. Probably my least favorite in the main line of this book so far. This has reminded me a lot of the Hellfire Gala. We just have this giant party going on as they look to auction off Frozen, Carbonite, Han Solo. They've invited all of the kind of like crime syndicates there. So we've got the Jabba the Hutts who are throwing all the most money at it. We've got Darth Vader who shows up to claim what he believes is his. You've got Boba Fett back there. He wants to claim because it was stolen from him. We have Leia and Chewie there looking to rescue him. So all chaos is about to break loose.
The main complaint I heard this week is that if you also read Dr. Aphra, that you probably could have read one or the other.
I will say that I would have got to that point. Dr. Aphra was about the exact same party and the exact same events. The only difference is they followed the character of Dr. Aphra instead of looking at more of like a large overview of the party.
Yeah,
we
so
saw
like,
specifically what Dr. Aphra was doing at the party.
Right. It seemed like everybody who read, whichever someone read first, they liked that one and were annoyed with the other one. So
I will say I read Dr. Aphra first. I thought War of the Bounty Hunters was the better of the two books, but mostly because I didn't care what Dr. Aphra was doing.
As we've established, the non-movie TV characters, you don't...
Well, I didn't read any of the early Dr. Aphra stuff. Like, I didn't get on Darth Vader until Volume 2, and Dr. Aphra wasn't in Volume 2, and I've read a few supplemental books, but so much of her character was already set that I've not went back and read. I'm fine with some of the non-movie stuff, but I just don't know the character well enough to have a vested interest. Challenge of the Super Sons. Let's Get Digital. This is number 4 of 7. This book, Tomasi, excuse me.
Yes.
Pierre Tomasi continues
it's weird that
to...
we have a Tomasi and a Tamaki.
Yeah. Is a great writer. This book is funny, lighthearted, and I honestly, for being two of my least favorite characters in DC, really enjoy reading this book every week.
I felt that about every Super Sons book.
I will say my biggest drawback from this specific issue, they've been saving different heroes throughout the DC universe without letting them know they were saving them. And in this issue, they save Cyborg, and I don't care about Cyborg. So I was just like, this was really fun, but ultimately, had you just killed Cyborg, I would have been like, Cyborg. Speaking of killing, I read Spare Parts Fully Reloaded, number 1 or number 0.
Do you remember watching this movie?
I was like, is this directly based from the movie? Because I do remember the movie.
We bought the movie, and you and I sat here and watched it, and then we were like, oh man, this movie is almost good, but like at least, we threw some indie creators some money.
Yeah.
But man, it didn't push over to that like... It took too long to get to the goofy fun parts, is what it really boiled down to. And then there was a lot of dialogue I wouldn't have left in the film. But I saw that comic.
There's virtually no dialogue in this comic.
Okay.
So this comic has, I think, 3 pages that even have like actual words on them. Mm-hmm. It moves very quick. The premise: you have this girl punk rock group. They get kidnapped and by a police officer. Yeah, kidnapped by the police officer, and they're taken to this place where they worship this weird god, and they worship the blood that's spilled. So there's all kinds of surgeries done against their will as they hack off arms and surgically implant giant steel weapons in their place.
So I wasn't here for Tuesday this week, which is like when we open all the stuff, bag and board it, do all that stuff, because I had a kid's birthday, took the kid to Cedar Point, and when I saw this, I was so excited to find out. I was like, it's Behemoth. Tim's gonna read this. I was like, will he remember that he's watched this movie? If he does, at what point?
I didn't watch the whole movie. Like, I only watched half. So I'm like, and then I'm sitting there like, gosh, this feels a lot like that movie. I'm not 100% sure, and I didn't care enough to try to go find the movie to see, but it was an interesting read, I guess. I'm surprised you didn't read it. Like, it's blood, guts, and body horror as they amputate these arms, and the bones are still sticking out, and they're attaching the bones to the giant axes and saw blades and everything else, and they stick them in the arena and make them kill a bunch of people. So... Which I didn't get to the arena of the movie, so...
I mean, the movie gets so much better when you get to that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that was what brought me in, and then it was like an hour of, hey, here's this punk rock group. Here's them saying fuck men a lot. Okay, no, it was funny the first time, but like, okay.
We're still doing it, yeah.
Here's them being captured. Here's it's like, just get to the part of them.
Just give them axes and swords as hands and let them hack people up in an arena.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if they're going to do any more with this. We get one of those, like, end question marks at the end, so I don't know. Maybe there'll be another movie in 5 years and we get a second book to the series. I also read Batman Detective Comics number 1039. This one is Tamaki. This book, I'm just ready for a new arc. It's well written, it's well done.
That's the last book of the arc, though.
I haven't cared as much about this arc, and like I didn't care watching it wrap up. So it was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. It's not been my favorite arc for Batman.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Bunny Mask number 2 continues to be like a really good. You wouldn't think it from the title and the look of it, but it's a really good cerebral horror book. It does have those like visually scary moments, which you can't lean on too heavily as a comic, even though it's a visual medium. I think slower cerebral stuff actually works a little better. But this book's really good.
It's funny, that got stuck in my pull accidentally. I think Andrew thought I was reading it, and so I started reading that last night, and I was like, I definitely didn't read number 1 of this.
It was weird that you didn't, because it was an aftershock, but I imagine you'd probably be into it. Another horror series that I'm really, really enjoying, Silver Coin.
That's been great.
The premise of this one is that each issue is done by a different writer, but the artist has remained the same throughout. He handpicked the writers and said, hey, I want you guys to do this anthology series with me. The only rule is there's got to be something going on with this like supernatural evil coin, and go nuts. This one is more sci-fi, like Black Mirror horror type stuff rather than Twilight Zone. It's written by Jeff Lemire. It's really good.
Jeff Lemire can write.
Thor remains really good. I saw some people kind of critiquing the Captain America bits in this. They worked for me, but I'm not the biggest Captain America guy. And Die is getting very close to wrapping up. That issue this week kind of revealed where he's kind of been going this entire time with this book, and we're about to wrap everything up completely, and it's incredible, both as like a D&D book, both as like a cool exploration of like body dysmorphia stuff. I would say there is time now between now and the final 2 issues coming out, that if you want to read all of Die, you can kind of binge it and then in the trades, and then finish out and go like, holy cow, and be part of that conversation as it wraps up. It's one of my favorite comic series of all time. But yeah, that's what I read this week.
Good.
Thanks so much for listening to this here program. Again, we have extra stuff on patreon.com/radraptor.
Yeah, for all of you listening, we are sorry the day late for those people who religiously listen on Thursday. Jeff didn't want to record by himself yesterday, I guess. So
that's true. I there's not many podcasts I listen to with 2 people, and whenever I find that podcasts exist with one person, I want to stab myself in the eye rather than listen to them myself. But
I'm working on a number of single solo podcasts. I just have to kind of figure out where I want to go with it. Because I've realized that I can talk extensively for 45 minutes without taking a breath.
The ones that I can do that are one person, they take phone calls. That's like the only ones, because then it's not just one person. You still have a little bit of tossing the baseball back and forth.
But as we said, Jeff and I listen to very different podcasts.
This is true. But yeah, thanks so much for everyone who listens, everyone who does anything to keep this boat afloat. We really appreciate you guys. Have a good week, everyone.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Raptor Radio. Welcome to Geek Paradise.